War Eagle, everybody, yet another edition of the Auburn Family Night here on Wednesday night. We have got a lot to discuss. It's the eve of March Madness, after all. But this is the show where we talk about anything and everything Auburn. Your calls, your comments, your questions, they're all coming up right now. War Eagle Auburn family, and of course, and a special welcome and War Eagle to you, our E2C Network family. Thank you for joining us. Whether you are watching live, whether you are watching on the replay, however you got here, whenever you got here, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family, as is the case every single Wednesday night since the dawn of time, since you couldn't find hardly any YouTube content for Auburn stuff on a regular basis. We've been doing this show, and we really appreciate you coming back, hanging out with us to talk about anything and everything Auburn. This show's all about you. What you want to discuss, how you want to discuss it, not necessarily how long you want to discuss this, because we usually do this for about an hour. But if you want to talk orange and blue, this is what we're going to do here. So make yourself known, make yourself available. Let us know you're here. As I get choked up about all the good feelings, let us know that you're here in the comments right now, the live chat. Wow, Kyle. Post where you're watching from, our city, your state, international, with a War Eagle, and we'd love to say hello to you. Let me set the table, as I like to say on most live streams, about what we're potentially going to talk about. I've already addressed it. March Madness, baby. Are you excited? Are you stoked? You should be. If you're not, I don't know why you wouldn't be. It begins tomorrow. Auburn is in it. We won't talk about it until Friday, though. At least the game action. We can talk about the stuff leading up to it. We can talk about women's basketball. Tomorrow, their March Madness begins. So technically, we could have like a long, extended, hopefully, stay into March Madness for all basketball-related stuff. Practice for football is still ongoing. They just announced the SEC schedules for football for the 2025 year. What else? I feel like there was a bunch of other small things that just got announced out there that we could potentially dive into. And really, it doesn't even have to be pertinent, like relevant news right now. If you just want to ask a random question related to orange and blue, we can definitely talk about it here. So we'd love to know who's here. We got some fine folks checking in with us. Thomas is here. Mr. John is here, checking in throughout the state of Alabama. Thomas says it best. Now the real season begins, and I couldn't agree more with you, sir. Now, I have enjoyed the heck out of the regular season, but let's be honest, folks, this is the real season. This is where we all get excited. We all are ready to go. As you can see there at the bottom of the screen, I have put up the reminder. If you want to call into the show, please do so. You can click the link that is in the top of the chat on YouTube. It's not available anywhere else, but on YouTube, you can click in right now and call the show. You don't have to be on camera. It can just be a voice type of thing. It'll just put a little blank spot next to your name, all that kind of stuff. Would love to hear from you tonight. What you want to discuss, all those things. You can continue on in the live chat that way and just type things out. But it's always great to hear some voices, see some smiling faces. Maybe we'll see some of our regulars this evening. Yes, the real season starts now. Is everybody's bracket done? Who's completed their bracket? Anybody? Raise show of hands. Anybody? I have made my bracket, but I would not say it's complete yet. I have it ready to go, submitted, just in case for some odd reason I'm not able to change it tomorrow before the game starts. But it is still being thought through, still analyzing a few things. I'm fighting the urge to move Auburn further than I already have them. Yeah, I'm fighting that urge really, really bad to want to move them beyond the Sweet 16, which is where a lot of people have them. I will tell you, though, that I just helped my mother. She's visiting us, fill out her bracket. And we did this really cool thing on ESPN where you can do based on their analytics. And guess what, folks? The analytics on ESPN have Auburn in the Final Four. So if you're predicting Auburn in the Final Four, at least some analytic out there agrees with you. So take that to heart or take it however you will. Watching the Coach Austin interview. Coach Austin, what am I missing here? Oh, Kent Austin. Is that what you mean? Coach Ken Austin, the QB coach. Is that what what you're talking about? I'm not exactly 100% of what you mean there. Tell us what you're gleaning from, what you're learning about it. I hope that you all are going to take part. There you go. I had it right. Yes, I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't exactly sure. As a reminder, at the early part of the show here, let me go ahead and do this at least once. We are having our bracket contest. If you're not in on it, you are missing out. The links are available everywhere. If you can't find the link, go to the ESPN Tournament Challenge app, and then you can sign up through that by finding our group, E2C Network, letter E, number 2, letter C, Network 2024. E2C Network 2024 is the group name. Hop in and win a prize from Barner Supply, $50 e-gift card / coupon code. It's just easier to call it an e-gift card. They are our prize sponsor for this year, and we're glad to be partnering with them. They're a great company, and embrace the Barnerness that we all have, and that the Gumps love to try to use against us somehow. But if you think about it, they haven't really thought through that as an insult. You're basically saying that the people that supply the things that you need every day, because that's what they're basically calling us, is just the lower end of society. You're not really thinking that through. Without us, you can't be a Gump. So just think about that next time. Unbeaten Lake, an entire season depending on a single game. I'm ready for many heart attacks for Friday. He puts it into a good perspective here. And I was thinking about this earlier, Lake. I said this after the SEC tournament live streams that we did, the reaction shows. We knew that those ones, no matter how it ended, championship or not, that they wouldn't be our last because we were in the dance. However, at this point, it could be your last at any moment. The next reaction show that we do could be our last for the season. And that, to me, is just sad. I cannot believe we've reached this point in the season. I'm happy for it, but I can't believe that this could be our last time talking about this team, this Auburn basketball. And I'm not wishing that. I'm not predicting that. But just know, you win or you go home. So, yes, many heart attacks ensue. John says, I don't do the bracket stuff because I don't follow basketball close enough to be knowledgeable. John, here's the great thing. And I say this for you and everybody else who feels this way. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be knowledgeable. In fact, I would tell you this. I have seen people who are the least knowledgeable be the most successful in this because they aren't overthinking things. I would ask that you fill it out just for the sake of me so we can keep getting our numbers up there on our group for our sponsor, you know? So if you want to help me out, do it for me. Do it for E2C Network. But seriously, in the concept of like, I'm not knowledgeable about it, all that kind of stuff. I get that. It feels daunting. Just go through and Christmas tree it. Have fun with it. Just put Auburn in the national championship game. What the heck? You get to say that you picked Auburn as the champion if they do it. How many of us wish that we had trusted our team in 2019 and didn't do it? I know I did. So just a different way of thinking about it. If you're concerned that you don't know how to do it, you don't know enough about basketball, it's just for funsies. No, there's no buy-in to this or anything like that. Like you don't waste money by entering. We don't do all that. We just ask people to enter, have fun, and then you get a shot at a prize, because that's the whole point of it, just to have fun and all that kind of stuff. It's a tough road. Yes, it is. It is a tough road. Got to win 5 games, right? First round, second round, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, 6 games. And that last and final one, if you make it all the way to the end, maybe we will, maybe we won't. I will tell you that I am starting to consider moving Auburn up past UConn. I'm seeing enough people that, quote unquote, are in the know start to have that conversation. And as much as they kind of scared me at the start and built up UConn, I'm starting to think I shouldn't move them ahead. The problem is that if I move them past the Sweet 16, I'm going to want to put them in the Final 4. And that's my prediction. If Auburn does make it past UConn, even gets there, they will make it to the Final 4. Thomas says, I'm not looking forward to listening on the road Friday instead of watching. Music isn't easy on my sports habits. So will you be traveling? Is that what you mean? And just because you can't watch it? Um, yeah, it definitely takes away not sitting down to watch it. I've already kind of planned out my setup for tomorrow. I will be down. I told my wife, look, there are definitely things that take precedence over um, me watching some basketball games. But in the event that it's not a necessity, it's not urgent, all those things, I am simply asking for these 4 days of no interruptions. And going to church on Sunday. That is the only thing, aside some of the clear other things that are important, take precedence. For these 4 days, I want nothing but my recliner, my 2 monitors, 3 monitors that I'm gonna take one from the guest room and, probably this extra one I have and hook up, my phone to it to get it, like, bigger on that screen, and I'm literally just gonna be doing that the entire time. And yes, not every game is playing at the exact same time, but there will be moments where we have got a buzzer beater happening here, the last 2 minutes of this one and another one just starting, and those are just like the most beautiful moments. Can y'all tell I'm excited about March Madness? I'd be worn out after the first game. You talking about just like the 6 games you gotta win or just the first game of all this madness? I mean, yes, I will not have any energy, any, you know, wherewithal by the time this thing is over with. But man, it's so, so beautiful. It's the most beautiful sporting event of all time. WT's in the house. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for checking in. Latrell checking in on Facebook. I really appreciate that comment, sir. Makes me feel good and makes me feel like I'm not some idiot just over here screaming into a microphone that how much I love Auburn stuff and apparently basketball today. Basketball is my sport. It gets me fired up. I love watching it. I love talking about it. I love playing it. There's just it's a special thing. Unbeaten Lake points out, you always want to be doubted in March. Would rather have most people say we can't do it than we can. I would agree with that notion. Having that kind of chip on your shoulder, which Auburn tends to have, definitely is something that has benefited sports teams for Auburn in the past. Is that always the recipe for success? Maybe not. But for whatever reason, Auburn teams, when they are discredited, discounted, thought little of, um, even when there's reasons to not think that of them, they tend to overachieve. And I don't know that there's necessarily that narrative this year, to be honest with you. I think most people who know basketball, who will talk about it for a living or just a lot, would tell you that ju- if Auburn wasn't going up against UConn, they'd probably be having them going a lot farther because a lot of metrics show how complete they are offensively, defensively. And what I love this last week too, and you've seen the coaches just talk about it. You have seen, I think, their social media teams put stuff out, and then some other people as well. The narrative that Auburn couldn't win on the road. I think the stat was that in neutral sites they were like number 3 in terms of like I think it was like their quality of neutral site performances. They were like number 3 in that ranking. When you talk about away games, they were 13th, but when you talk about them combined, it was like number 8. They're a very good team, no matter where they are. It just helps that when you're at Neville Arena, the jungle, you get a lot of pick me up from that. John talking to John, but says people have won bracket challenges by liking the mascots. It's all fun and gets you into the tourney even more. And I agree. It's like the gateway drug into this. I think WT I don't know if you're referencing my story I told, I think Tuesday when we did our bracket prediction show that we filled out the bracket together. By the way, if you haven't watched that, go if you have time. We had fun with it. It's a long one, 2.5 hours, and we had a great crowd show up. I would say that if you haven't heard that story, I completely blanked right there. I had a coworker that picked based on the mascots, and she did pretty good. part of the way. But she picked some upsets that you wouldn't have picked normally simply because of the mascot. Droodles says BYU has potential. I would not doubt that. They are coming from the mighty Mountain West. What I love about college basketball is, unlike college football, and I love college football, don't hear me wrong, let's not say that, is the fact that it's a lot of an equalizer. You all talk about the SEC, talk about the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and we used to talk about the Pac 12 before they imploded. There's so much of an equalizer effect, a parity effect. Mountain West is one of the best basketball conferences this year. And so it's made me take a better look at a team simply because they've come from that. Like I give SEC teams, because of how competitive it was this year, a stronger case. And I got to really have a reason to feel like someone's going to beat them. If you're not aware, in our pick'em show that we did, the group selected a 3 SEC Final Four. We almost had a 4th. And I'll be honest with you. Yes, we picked Auburn as the champion because it's an Auburn-based channel here. Duh, we're going to, as a collective at least. The fact that we had Alabama almost in the Final Four was shocking. And I was surprised with some of the picks everybody. I thought everybody would just be loosey-goosey, but everybody made some pretty smart and well thought out picks. And people would say, well, you picked Auburn as the national champion, then those can't be well thought out. Depends on the situation. My ex-wife used to go by mascots and consistently beat me in my expert analysis. Droodle says, I'm working on my bracket, just wondering who you would choose for Texas versus Colorado State game. Have you joined our bracket contest, sir? If you haven't, head over to our social media. In fact, I will try to grab the link here and put it in the chat while we're talking for you all, if you haven't joined up, so you can, and give you it a couple times. Texas or Colorado State. I still have Texas. Are they playing each other? Let's pull all this up here. I should have just had my bracket ready for you guys to reference some of these things. Now, keep in mind, this isn't my final bracket. My bracket is never finalized until we get to game time. I will probably look at it from 10:12 Eastern time to 10:15 when the game starts, and then that'll be it. I will try to analyze it all the way down. Let's see. Texas, where are you? Colorado State, they are playing. I had Texas. I don't have them going super far, though, if that gives you a hint. Let's see. I'll get you the link here in the chat if I can get to it. That's the main thing, is I got to get to it. Here we go. I found it for you. But you can find it on social media too, if you don't want to pull it out of the chat. Oh, wow, that is a humongous link there. Hopefully, well, that's a Facebook thing. Let me see if I can get one better for you. I know this makes for a great show. Stand by, and let's see if we can get this thing to actually work for everybody or not. Why does it keep wanting to do that? I have to literally let's do this. Edit. Anyway, what do you guys think? Any hot takes, any hot picks, any upsets that you'd like to call out as potentially ones to pay attention to? I'd love to hear some of that. There we go. Finally got it to send the correct way. So you've got it in the chat right now. It's not a given, but would we want UConn to be upset before the Sweet 16? Well, let's take a look at that and see what our options might be. So Auburn and UConn would collide in the Sweet 16. So 2 opportunities for either of us to fall before then. If I'm UConn, I'm really rooting for Auburn to fall, because it may be one of the toughest tests they have for the whole bracket. I would say Stetson's not going to beat them. Not because I don't think Stetson's not a quality basketball team. It's just UConn versus Stetson's not going to have 6 teams. Have only beaten them twice, and they've all happened within the last decade or close to that. But that FAU UConn game, it feels like, and that would be a rematch, right? I think of last year's Final Four. That one doesn't feel like it's going to go the Owls' way again because they, for some reason, aren't as potent, it seems, than last year. But of course, were they that way when they went into the tournament? It's nice to see them in there, though, and still being a part of March Madness. I would like UConn to fall as soon as possible. So, but here's the thing, though. If you say that and you're like, yes, I want to face somebody other than UConn. If FAU is doing well, that's a little bit scary because look at the run they went on last year. If FAU beats them in the second round, that means we got to face FAU, but we also got to face a former Auburn great, KT Harrell, who I would put in my best 5 of the Bruce Pearl era. Now, he's a director of player development, not even technically a coach. He is, but not technically by the title. That would hurt a little bit to have to face him, to beat him, or fall to him. So, yes, my heart of hearts wants our path to be easier, but I'm not convinced that other angles of the game wouldn't be more difficult if FAU were it. Now, if Stetson's there, then hey, by all means. Northwestern, we played them recently. I think last year is what it was, because it wasn't this year, I don't believe. Yeah, I think it was last year, and that was one of our more quality wins. I think it happened. All of this is falling together at this point. But anyway, what do you got? I mean, some of you have already said that you'd like to see UConn fall as soon as possible. Again, if you guys would like to take advantage of the link, please do so. And don't feel like we're trapped into a March Madness discussion. If you would like to discuss something else, fall practice, things like that, the new 2025 SEC schedules, that is also fair game. I'm just going to keep rolling with what I love talking about, and that is March Madness. I think half our viewers on YouTube are like, when is this kid going to stop talking about March Madness? Not for another 3 weeks, baby. Well, really, you'll hear less and less of it after this week. But after that second weekend, it'll get a little bit less. We should know from experience that after beating the best team in the tournament, the team's confidence goes through the roof. Yes. So, and that's why I said if Auburn does beat UConn, they're going to the Final Four. I can't really predict what happens after that. But I think they'll make it to the Final Four if they beat UConn. I'd also like to see UA. I'm guessing that is Alabama. We call them UAT here. Fall as soon as possible. Yeah, there's a few out there that like to make the case that we should be rooting for the SEC, that we should be rooting for Alabama. And I'm like, you just don't know. I am trying to wish ill will. Actually, I believe in reverse psychology in them. I have them going to the Sweet 16 with the hopes that they embarrass themselves in the first round and that my bracket's busted by them. How about this? If my bracket's busted by Alabama, meaning in the way that they lose, I'm okay with that. Thomas has broken out his notebook, y'all. He's getting ready. I miss hearing from Thomas in his football discussions. If you want to talk football tonight, Thomas, call in. Want to hear from you if you got the time tonight. We can break away from March Madness talk. We are on the eve of one of the greatest sports events all year. How can we not talk about it? I agree. It's not one of the. I think some people would say, the Olympics, I guess. The Olympics are pretty fun too. It's got a very March Madness-y feel just because of the sheer amount of stuff that's all happening at once and that you can tune in. So it's a March Madness-like feel on a global scale. Whoever wins the region is winning the tournament. Yeah. Maybe. I think if Houston makes it and UConn's not in their way, they might win it all. They might. The route for Alabama, have you lost root for Alabama is what you're saying. Lost your mind? No. I'm not rooting for them. I'm rooting for reverse. I'm not. There's no rooting. I am predicting a win, several wins for them, in the hopes that I am giving them that reverse juju, that it will backfire on them, and then we'll be all celebrating, just like they would to us. What I know several Alabama people that will act like, oh, I just want the SEC to win. I just want, all that. But the second that Auburn has success, you can see it just bothers them to no end. It's like, don't at least I'm upfront with you about it. Or most of us are too. So anyway, that's kind of some overarching thoughts about what I think about Alabama. And speaking of, since we're talking about them, maybe we talk about them a little bit further. They do have what I feel like is going to be one of the, on paper, easier routes to the Sweet 16. They face Charleston, and Charleston is a team that's usually pretty good. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Alabama. They would then take on St. Mary's or Grand Canyon. There's always a 5-12 matchup that's a bunch of these smaller schools, smaller conferences, but they're the best of them. And these two are that. I don't know that St. Mary's, even though they're a higher seed than Grand Canyon, has what it takes to beat Alabama. I think it would have to be an upstart Grand Canyon, and I do think they're going to have them predicted to upset St. Mary's. It's probably not going to happen now that I've predicted it, but that's what I have right now. And then they would face North Carolina in the Sweet 16, and North Carolina is the weakest of the 1 seeds. So do with that what you will when you're thinking about things. I think they would have the easiest route to the Sweet 16/Elite 8 if they wanted it. I don't have them going there, but I had to give them some success so that they, again, would have the reverse juju on them. It's all part of the plan. You got to just think about it that way. What else? What else haven't we talked about that y'all would like to discuss? Dive into any. I'm surprised no one has wanted to talk football yet. I have tried real hard to keep up with all the content that's going on around Auburn related right now. I have yet to even sit down and fully listen to Coach Hugh Freeze's press conference from yesterday. It is on my to-do list. I just have so much going on around March Madness right now. So it is a very busy time of the year. WT thinks that Grand Canyon will be a dangerous team in the tournament. A lot of people do. A lot of people think that, and I go there with you. I think they're potentially one of the more dangerous ones in terms of the lower seeds out there. Corey, what's going on, sir? Good to see you. Thanks for you can call in, but thanks for being here. Grand Canyon has a potential to make some noise. I just don't know that they have what it takes to beat Alabama. That's the thing about. Oh, and the light just went out. The light just went out. Oh no. Oh no. Well, here's what we're gonna do. So we did this last time. Crank that up a little bit. You just won't be able to see my nice colors in the background as much, but now you can see me. If only y'all could see like the little weird setup I have. I can't lean my screen down or else. It's another one of these things. I'm telling you. I told y'all when these things go out, if y'all have seen it go out on these little Apple bricks, when they are shot, they are shot. They will continue to work, but they will start overheating every time you use them from this point on. So that's another one that's like barely ever going to be used now. It's like a backup of a backup. Anyway, technical problems at E2C Network. That's why we ask you to help keep the lights on by joining the Conquer Club. Samford over Kansas after hearing Kansas has their best player out. Samford has the 5th scoring offense in the nation. So here's where I'm at on this right now. I had Kansas going to the Sweet 16, even despite the very rough year that they had by their standards, not by most people's standards, by their standards. Then I heard that Dickinson, their big center, has been roughed up, and his status is questionable in the sense of like how fresh he is, how ready to go he is. I think he's going to play. So that kind of had me a little bit rocky on my pick. And then they lost their best player, or at least their best scorer. And that immediately had me move my pick for them down to the from the Sweet 16 to the second round, and that's it. But now I'm really starting to think through, will I just go ahead and call the upset of Stanford? And here's my thought process on it. If I pick them, the chances are, with all the losses they have in personnel, they're going to lose very quickly. So even if they beat Stanford, they're only going to be around for one more round. It's not like they're going to wreck your Sweet 16 maybe. But if you pick Stanford, and you're right, that's another point for you. That's kind of how I'm trying to rationalize myself. I haven't officially switched that over yet, but I kind of want to pick the Stanford upset. Rhodes checking in from Fairhope. We have got South, Central, North, all over Alabama represented tonight on the show. Curious to know if there is any spring football news concerning offensive line development. Thanks. No, there's not anything hardcore that I know of. Now, you may have other like beat writers and stuff writing some stuff about that. I haven't necessarily read anything into it or been on any message boards. Not that I ever go on message boards all that much, except for a handful of instances for just some confirmation of some things. I haven't heard anything, but I don't know that you would get anything out of this spring that's concrete that you can take away. You might get the best I think that you'll get out of the offensive line in terms of news of spring practice is going to be pecking order type of stuff. And then subsequently, because of that, who may be leaving to go elsewhere because they want more time and they don't think they're going to get it here. I think really that's the bigger question that should be coming out of spring, is not necessarily what did we take away for fall and like what did we learn, because things can change so much with the transfer portal. So for me, it's more about what the position battles look like currently, and then I got to think about who might be leaving and thus who might open spots up to come. And speaking of, since we're talking about this, he just called in, so we're going to talk to him. I hope he's ready. There he is, Mr. Thomas Manville, getting his notebook ready. You heard us talk about offensive line, and you said, I got to come in here and talk, didn't you?
Well, I was clicking buttons, and then I heard O-line, so I got real excited.
You started clicking buttons like this. Like, get in there, get in there.
Hurry up now.
Hurry up now, get on in there and talk about them hog mollies down in there in the offensive line. Anyway, what's going on, buddy?
Man, not much. Just I'm excited to listen to the game on Friday, even though I won't get to watch it. I'm excited about the men's and the women's basketball being in the tournament. I'm kind of excited about spring practice, but mainly basketball.
Is it weird to you that, I mean, I know we're in March Madness, and I know we love our basketball team now, and that takes a lot of attention away, but is it weird to you there's not a lot of hype around like spring practice as much as maybe normal?
I mean, was there much hype in 2019 when we made a deep run?
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I just felt like we would have a little bit more. And I think part of it is my assumption that the quarterback race is not amounting to what people want it to be, at least on the surface. And I think that's a lot of times we think about it but before this year, we had a legitimate quarterback race leading back to Bo. It was Peyton Thorne wasn't here yet, so Robbie and TJ were still competing. The year before that, Robbie and TJ were competing. The year before that, TJ got here and was supposedly going to give Bo a run for his money. So it just felt like for the last several springs and whatever, there was always a question. And while Peyton has not done a lot to secure his spot in terms of performance, as we've discussed ad nauseum, there are other reasons besides Peyton Thorne why the offense failed that will help any other quarterback too. I got to think that's part of it. There's just not enough of a juicy quarterback battle right now.
It's Peyton Thorne's job to lose. It really is. You can talk about a quarterback battle all you want to, but it's his job to lose.
Right.
And by the end of spring, when the transfer portal opens again, I'm pretty sure we're going to lose somebody.
Yep.
I don't see a scenario when all four of the guys that are really in the group of, they're taking reps. we've got to lose somebody just
Yep.
because these guys are talented. They got to go somewhere. So
Yep. Well, and you saw
he's
that.
got playing
You,
time.
yeah, you saw that happen every year. There's a group of 4. Somebody decides whether it was, well, last year it would have been TJ, moved off to go to Texas State. The year before that would have been, what was his name? He went, gosh, what was his name? Demetrius Davis.
Oh yeah,
Demetrius.
Steve Davis.
Yeah.
That was going to be our savior because we couldn't. And then he went to Alabama State and didn't do a dadgum thing.
Oh man, I remember that like it was yesterday because it basically was yesterday. Everybody's screaming for the. That's why whenever I see someone running in here saying Walker White's the savior, he needs to start now, I'm like, how do you know that? Y'all are the same ones that say that about Davis. These are the same ones that said that about TJ. The same ones that said that about Ashford, and not a knock against them. TJ's having success over at Texas State right now. Just the point is, we can't put so many eggs in one basket, you know.
Look, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Somebody's got to block for him.
Yep. Speaking of, great segue. Let's talk. I want to hear your thoughts on O-line right now.
All right.
Oh, he got the notebook. Look, he flipped the notebook. He did the thing.
I did the thing. All right. So before we get to specific people, last year our average points per game was 26. Our average points per game in wins was 37 points.
Yeah.
Our average points per game in losses was 16.
Okay.
That's a huge difference. 16 points was our average in our losses and 37 in wins. That gap has got to get a whole lot tighter this year.
Yeah.
And it is on, can we block for the run? Can we block for the pass? I mean, if you can't block, then we're not going to get anything. The games where we did play well on the O-line, we were able to run the ball, to advance the ball, to gain yards, and to force the defense into a different position so we were able to throw with poor blocking in the passing game, with poor throwing at times, and not the best receiving core we've ever had.
Yeah.
So if you're getting 37 points a game in your wins, then you're doing one thing right to open up something else, and that has got to improve this year. And I hate to harp on it again, but it all starts at the line of scrimmage. You know, if the defensive line is trash, you got no shot. If your offensive line is trash, nobody's got any shot. But the things coming out of camp so far, and I'm not going to read too far into spring practice because it's spring practice. The majority of it's on air. We'll get a little bit more information when it comes to a scrimmage, when it's best on best, and they're fully dressed out in all their pads and they're really hitting each other. But, you know, I think Percy Lewis is definitely going to be your left tackle.
Yep.
I don't see another option. I think Jaden Muskrat's going to back up multiple positions on the O-line because he's played multiple positions, and I'm okay with that. But Dylan Wade moving from left tackle to left guard makes my little Auburn loving heart, to quote you, so dadgum happy it's unreal. Like, that's where he needs to play. He's prototypical to go to the next level at that size, 6'4". He's got a good frame. He's got good weight on him. He's rangy. He's got great feet. He's got good punch. But on the outside at 6'4", that's a tall task with shorter arms than you would want as a tackle.
Yeah. And you remember when we were talking about when Dylan Wade got here and looking at the makeup of who we had, there was the talk about, well, yeah, he's playing offensive tackle over here, but can he do it over in the SEC? And while I don't recall any like mega deficiencies for him playing at the offensive tackle here, he saw most of his time on the interior side of the offensive line. It seemed like, at least. And I think that just is kind of what you're talking about. His makeup is made for more of interior. And if he can improve, he has like a lot of that prototype, like you talked about. I think Percy Lewis, you just look at him and you're like, that's an offensive tackle right there. I mean, it's kind of like Favor Edwin, young, but you look at the measurables, let him fill out a little bit more, and he gets into a college program. You look at him and you're like, that's an offensive tackle right there. How about your boy Connor Liu?
Yeah.
Look at that. I knew I'd get you fired up mentioning him.
Like I've said it a million times, he habitually escorts people out of the club. And he was an 8-game starter this past year as a true freshman in the SEC, down in the trenches where grown men are made. Like, They don't grow them like that anywhere else in the country except for the SEC. This kid come in, started 8 games, did really well, and now he's been an entire year in a strength and conditioning program. He's got experience under his belt. He's bigger, he's stronger. I'm gonna say he's probably faster, and he's turning into a leader. Go watch Jake Thornton's interview today on I think it was Auburn Undercover did it.
Mm-hmm.
But go watch his interview, and he talks about these linemen, and he specifically mentions Connor Lew at center, and then he also mentions Tate Johnson.
Yeah,
I mean, he's still a veteran. He's played games. He's very vocal. He's a leader. So we got 2 good guys right there. And then he talks about Jeremiah Wright, and he's got his first spring to really be an offensive lineman. And we know Jeremiah Wright, he's nasty, man. Like, he wants to put you in the dirt, roll over you, take your lunch money, kiss your sister, and keep walking.
wow.
He wants to do that to people. He wants to do it. That's what we need at that right guard position.
Yeah,
Especially Connor Lew right there. You got some dogs sitting right there in the middle, especially with Dylan Wade moving down.
yeah.
Look, as a D lineman, that would be my worst fear is 3 guys who want to ruin my day.
Well, and that's the reputation you got to have to be a successful offensive line. I like what is potentially being built with Connor Lew, from obviously starting several games as a freshman to now. It feels a lot like a Reese Dismukes situation. If you remember him coming out of Spanish Fort and was our center since basically he was a freshman. And I'm not saying that he's the one that's got the market on that type of storyline, but that's just kind of the most recent one that I think back to. It feels like since then we've had guys fill in, do it, maybe a decent job, but no one's made their mark on the center position. I'm probably missing somebody, but since like a Reese Dismukes, and that kind of feels like that's what Connor Lew is doing. But like you said, I don't want to discredit Tate Johnson, who's just had the injury bug. You can't discredit the progress he was making even amongst all those injuries, and also the leadership quality that he brings to the table. So I like having both those guys, interior, otherwise, whether it's center or whatever, mostly center. There's a lot of things to feel good about. I think the people were pretty sure about on the offensive line, but Ruga, I think his name is, asked about what's going on with Clay Whedon. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Is there something that you've heard? Or
I haven't heard anything specifically about him, but when it comes to tackles, because he would probably, I think he was listed as a tackle and would project. I think it's Too Tall Miller's game to lose at right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good things about Tyler Johnson from many different outlets. So I think you've got Percy Lewis, Tyler Johnson, and Xavier Miller, Too Tall Miller at your tackles, and they'll work them in. Now there's got to be a fourth. There's 2 tackle spots. You can't only have 3, but they need to develop these guys, and they brought them in to develop them. And yet we've got some guys that came from transfer portals, and they were there last year, and some new guys this year. But there's a development process to get a unit. As far as a line goes, sometimes they want you to get your hat across somebody. Sometimes the terminology comes to your shoulder, where you want to get your shoulder through somebody and get the hands pads and turn them. So it depends on how they're going to develop the guys that are there right now to the team they want to run.
Yeah. Yeah. I my hope is that we'll take that next step. We've been taking steps forward as an offensive line. It feels like in some ways, but not giant steps. I'm ready for us to take that next big one forward. And I got to think, kind of like you're alluding to, with some of these young guys that when I say young, they're not young anymore. They've been here for a while, like 2 seasons, some of them 3 seasons at this point. You got Connor Lew in that category, Tyler Johnson, Clay Whedon. I'm forgetting a few others. You got new crop coming in like Favored Win. Andre, what's his name? The guy out of California. Yeah, he'll be coming in. I feel like this next wave, at least the ones who've been here for a little bit of time, are getting to the point where they're almost ready.
Well, if you go back to Coach Thornton's interview today, he mentioned the 2025 class, wanting to bring 5 or 6 guys, potentially 6 guys in, just offensive linemen. And then you go back to when Hugh Freeze was hired, he said, look, it's going to be about 2024, 2025 before we're ready to play the ball that he wants to play. So the coaching staff is aligned with the recruiting process and bringing in the right guys for this team. So
Yep.
it may not be fixed this year, but next year it's probably something to really watch out for, and that's what you got to have in the SEC.
Yep, I agree. This is one of the names I couldn't get off the top of my tongue there, tip of my tongue. Dylan Cinda coming over from Northwestern, I believe.
Yes.
We haven't seen him a whole lot, but there was a lot of good talk from Coach Hugh Freeze when he first got here about how excited he was to have him come in, even very late in the game. I think he got there like right as the fall practice started last year.
Yeah.
So another one, and he was on the younger side too. So when we talk about Tyler Johnson, we talk about Connor Lewis, we talk about Clay Widdens, we talk about the Braden Joiners. That's another one. You know, all these guys, whether they're stars or not, are kind of growing up together to build a new foundation that we very much needed for the offensive line. Final thoughts from you, sir. I've got another caller, but don't want to rush off if you got some other things you want to mention.
Well, I'll just address the Dylan Cinda. I think he's a great athlete. I think he's got a great frame on him. From the film I've been able to watch on him, the only thing I'm concerned about is sometimes in pass protection, he tends to bend his back a little bit, which shifts his base
weight back. Yep.
But that's nothing that I'm confident that Jake Thornton can get that handled. And I think Dylan Cinda can really contribute. You know, if somebody goes down with a rolled ankle for, you know, a game or two, I think he can really slide in there and do some damage.
Yeah.
I really think he can. I was excited when he came in, and I'm still excited about that kid.
Yeah, a lot to be excited about. We just hope that it translates out there on the field. And like you said, maybe we'll get a little bit more insight as we get to that spring game and watch pad on pad, best on best, and see what happens from there. As always, it's a joy to talk to you, sir, especially when we get the opportunity to talk offensive line with you.
War Eagle, y'all have a good night.
War Eagle Thomas, thanks for being here. All right, we got our next caller coming in here. Put the wrong one up there. We'll have him in just a little bit. If you guys would like to continue talking March Madness, we can do that in just a little bit. We took a nice little break to talk some football, which frankly I enjoy talking too. But we wanted to make sure we covered a little bit of something different than March Madness. We'll take this next call and then we'll jump back into some more March Madness talk. So let's say hello. You guys know him. You love him. He's Captain Optimism. Oh, and there he is, Mr. Kevin.
Hey, War Eagle, Cal.
War Eagle, Kevin. How are you doing, buddy?
Let's talk about the wide receivers.
Talk about the wide receivers. What you want me to talk about them? How much I love them. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I'm excited about Bryce Kane, Malcolm Simmons,
Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson. Don't forget about some of those other guys we brought in. Transfer Robert Lewis.
Johnson or Robert Lewis.
Yep, all those transfers. But I will be honest with you, Kevin. I'm very you're getting a lot of War Eagles, Kevin.
Perry Thompson.
Perry Thompson. I'm excited for guys like a Caleb Burton.
Yeah, Caleb.
Jay Fair, who was probably the best wide receiver last year. And it's hard to say that in any sense for any of them, but
how about Luke
I think who?
Luke Deal.
As a tight end, I love Luke Deal. I love Luke Deal for what he brings to the team in terms of on the field contributions, but also as a leader. I think, and I feel like sometimes when people say that, they're diminishing what they mean to the team athletically on the field. And I don't want it to sound like that, but I think there's something very special for what people like Luke Deal bring to the team outside of on the field stuff.
Did Brandon Fraser come back?
I believe he was on the roster last I checked, unless it's changed in the last several weeks, but I've been a little bit focused on basketball. He was on there last I checked.
I think we might go to either Sweet 16 in basketball or Final Four.
Have you made a bracket yet?
No.
No, you gonna?
How do you do that?
So, well, you can print. So you don't have to do anything really. You can just imagine it, but you could probably go online and print off one and just write all the, like they'll have them listed. You just write which one you want to go down. If you have someone that can help you, if you want to do our bracket challenge, there's a link that you can go through on our social media and do it on the little ESPN app and stuff like that. But hey, you could just say, like you just said, who you think's going to win it? Who you think's going to win it?
I think Auburn have a good chance.
Yeah, I think they have a chance. I agree. I think if they can get past UConn. But is there any other teams you think might have a shot?
All SEC teams.
So you think all the SEC teams? So like Tennessee, Kentucky. What do you think about Alabama? You think Alabama's got a shot?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you. You're being fair. I love it. I love it, sir.
Hey, I
love it.
called in Jeffrey Lee Sunday night. I asked him how many touchdowns Bryce King will have. He said about 8.
8? Bryce Kane having 8, so that means he starts as a freshman and he'll play in at least 8. It's doable. It's doable.
Yeah.
Depends on how they utilize him. Yeah.
And I'm calling this coming Sunday. Ask about Perry Thompson.
You're gonna get his insights on Perry Thompson next time. Uh-oh. I think we're losing you. You there?
Yeah.
Are you going through a tunnel or something? It seems like we might be losing you a little bit.
Yeah, going in tunnel.
Okay. All right. Well, how about this? Who is, if you had to pick one favorite wide receiver for next year, who is it?
Caleb Burton.
Caleb Burton. All right. Well, you got a lot of good options out there, whether they're new or old. We'll see how much they do in spring practice.
Hopefully we can see you at the A-Day game.
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's definitely meet up if we can. If they're doing a Tiger Walk, I'll be there right at the front, right in front of the banner. So that's always the best place to find me.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. War Eagle, Kevin. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was Kevin. We go get him. We got another caller in the line that we'll get here in just a second. Let me acknowledge Mr. Thomas Manville with his generosity with the super chat on YouTube. Thank you, sir. That is very much appreciated. Always too kind and too generous. And he says, I believe in Auburn and love it. Sounds like a nice commercial, doesn't it? David asked real quick, can Auburn win 8 games? I don't know if this is a serious question or not, but yes, they can win 8 games, probably easily. But nothing's a given in SEC play. Corey thinks that we will do something sneaky with Sam Jackson. If you don't remember who he is the transfer from Cal, the quarterback that we faced at Cal, and will be playing wide receiver for us. That's going to be an interesting dynamic in game 2 this year. All right. Let's say hello to our next caller on the evening, calling all the way out in Iowa. Spooky Buffalo / Jack. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Just mute the game. No, excited. I think Auburn is the team that is built to beat UConn.
Yeah.
Period. Oh yeah, they are so much better in 2019. So they're a lot deeper. They have played better defense. I think they can do it. So
I think if there's a team set up to beat UConn, it's Auburn. I don't know. I haven't been able. There's something in my being that is very worried about UConn, and maybe it's because I just am letting all the prognosticators tell me and convince me that UConn is just this unbeatable team. But every team has had some flaws this year.
A week ago, who was the number 1 seed team? It wasn't UConn.
It was Purdue, wasn't it?
It wasn't. And after Purdue lost, it was Houston. Then it was UConn.
Yeah. And I would say of that group of 3 has been the in most people's minds, the best of the best all year. And outside of that, it's been a little bit kind of somebody will get in there, somebody won't. But the point is everybody's susceptible, and who matches up with who the best is really what matters, not how long you stayed up in the number 1, the number 2, the number 3 slot. And Auburn, with their depth, with their ability to have contributions from everybody, not just having people to go out there and provide depth, but contributions, I think is what puts them ahead in a lot of categories.
And it keeps fresh legs. They only played 3 games. 2019, they played 5 games to get to the tournament.
Yep.
Then they struggled at New Mexico, but they ran through Kansas, ran through North Carolina, ran through Kentucky. The star player caught the flu from a Kentucky player. because he was on the floor with 103-degree temperature.
Yep.
I remember the commentators talked about, how brave he is. Hopefully the NCAA doesn't let that happen again with after COVID.
Yeah.
But I think they're the team to beat UConn. They're in place to do it, and after that, I think they could actually have the confidence and run through. Would be Illinois first, and I've got Drake beating Iowa State, but it would be Iowa State after that probably.
So you've got it would probably, if you go chalk, not based on everybody's individual predictions, but if you go chalk, it would be Illinois or Iowa State. I have Illinois in my bracket going from that side of the East region up to face whoever it would be.
I've got Drake beating Iowa State, but I don't know if you know Drake's in Iowa.
Yeah,
they're like 30 miles away. They're like 30 miles away. Ames is just north of Des Moines. Okay. I think Drake can actually pull out against Iowa State. They play similarly. I think they've got some players that are just absolute dogs and can do it. But no, I think what is it? Yeah, I think trying to run through my head again. Auburn will should beat Illinois.
I've said all along that if Auburn can get past UConn, they're going to the Final Four.
Oh yeah,
like that.
No doubt. No doubt.
It's kind of what I don't know who to credit to earlier was saying that maybe it was Thomas, but maybe several people have said it, that it just feels like once that big victory happens for an Auburn basketball team, it's like a bowling ball, and you have to have something like a double dribble not get called to keep the ball. Hey, how nice was it to watch Virginia get murdered last night when they weren't even really supposed to be in this?
That wasn't even fun to watch. It was like I fell asleep. That was a terrible game. That turned off. I'm sure that turned off kids from wanting to play basketball. That's how bad that game was. It was awful.
Kind of a side conversation of this, but somewhat I'm relating it. And all this talk about expansion, one team that doesn't want to come to the SEC is Virginia, because they know they're going to have to hear it from Auburn every single time.
Well, we did steal their colors.
Yeah. And then Clemson stole it. I said Clemson. Clemson stole kind of it from us. They stole the base.
The orange, not the purple.
Not the purple, right. Not the purple, but they stole our architecture. They stole a lot of our university's founders and some of our coaches and stuff like that. So it's kind of like one of those things. It just keeps getting passed down all the way,
But we did steal the colors from Virginia, but okay. I don't think. No, when it comes to that, I think the what's going to remain of the ACC and the Big 12 just need to form into the big ACC or something.
The big ACC. I still think the ball was dropped by the Pac-12 and the ACC to not form just the Coastal Conference and have it from. I'm serious. Sea to shining sea. Like I'm just.
Coastal conferences or coastals conference. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
And think about this too. Think about let's go even outside of necessarily athletics. Great schools are everywhere. Auburn's a great school, but there's a lot of good schools on each coast. Virginia's, the Dukes, the North Carolinas, UCLA's, the Cals, all of that. So I would say culturally as well, they probably mesh up a little bit well. So there's a lot that I think could have worked in that category if that had somehow come to fruition. It didn't, though, because the Pac-12 died. Anyway, it is interesting to watch, to bring it kind of back around, to watch the Pac-12 have its probably best year ever in football and its worst year ever in basketball in their final year. It's been a real interesting juxtaposition watching that.
Oh, playing games now in overtime.
Oh, is this the first one, the 16-16?
Yeah, Grambling, Montana State. Yeah, that's in overtime now.
Go Bobcats is what I say.
No, you're not going to say go Tigers? Come on.
Are they Tigers? Is that what Grambling is?
Yeah, they're the Tigers, I think, or I don't know. I know one's Tigers, one's Bobcats. I don't know which is which.
I think I'm 99% sure that Montana State's the Bobcats, and then I didn't know Grambling what they were.
I
So,
think they're the Tigers. Yeah.
well, I definitely we got a few minutes left here on the stream, and I'll definitely tune over there and watch the end of that. I'm going to watch that Colorado and or whichever it is tonight, Colorado and oh, help me, somebody. What is it? Where is it on this?
I'm drawing a blank.
It's on my bracket here somewhere. Anyway, the one that's this evening, I'm definitely going to tune in and watch to see how all that works out and get ready. It's kind of like pre-gaming for tomorrow. All right, so to close out your call, I want to get a prediction from you.
All right, hold on. Go to bed.
I'll go to bed. If Auburn does make it to the Final Four,
and on my bracket, I have them then playing. Who is it? If they make it to the Final Four, they're getting to the finals.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna just run, but I think they'll have it. I think they're gonna see Houston.
Tennessee, Houston. Okay.
And on that prediction, I went with my heart. I said Auburn, but it might be Houston.
I have a stinking suspicion that if UConn is out of Houston's way, they win. But if UConn and Houston meet, which is the conventional thought thus far, I think UConn wins it. That's kind of how I feel right now. But we'll see. That's the beauty of March Madness. Nothing's for sure. Can't take anything.
It's madness.
Oh, literally madness. I'm excited for it. So, hey, it was good to hear from you tonight. Good to see you. And thanks for calling in.
All right, we'll do. War Eagle.
War Eagle. Good to talk to you.
All right.
All right, we're going to close down the phone lines. We'll take a few more comments and questions to end the night, but I don't want to let us go without giving you a few reminders here. We'll go ahead and close down that phone line. Get your comments and questions, topics that you'd like to hit rapid fire. I think there were a few that we need to hit while we were having conversations. Thanks for calling in, everybody, tonight. It's good to see some faces, hear some voices. Always good on this show. If you haven't, you need to sign up for our bracket challenge. Even John, even if you don't like the brackets and the basketballs, join in with us just for funsies. The more the merrier is what I say. I will put that in the chat here. Again, this is the link that I'm sharing is for the bracket challenge, and we appreciate Barner Supply for bringing us that prize this year. They really stepped up in a pinch for us this year when we had to kind of make some changes at the last minute. So we really appreciate them being willing to step in with us as our prize sponsor. And if you haven't checked out their products, you definitely need to as well, because they're really cool and really unique. That's not, we just did that one. Here we go. Post-game show. After the Yale game on Friday, we will also do one on Sunday if need be. Hopefully we get the win, and we'll be doing one Sunday. Those are some of the things to keep in mind with you guys. And just stay tuned, following, subscribed everywhere. You never know what we might drop in anywhere on our social media, just because March Madness, baby. You never know what we might get into here. All right, let's see. I'll take some more comments and questions here before we wrap up. What did we see? I'm sure Katie wants revenge too. On who? On who? If we play UConn, I assume it will just be like the 2021 game. Okay, got you. Maybe that's what you meant. At least we can say that we've been to the Final Four, and Bama has not. That is true. That is very true. Why does the Big East exist in basketball but not in football? Because their football team sucked. And because Miami and Virginia Tech and those wanted to go to the ACC, and Boston too, I guess. And then West Virginia wanted to go somewhere else. Maryland wanted to go to the Big Ten. They just all didn't want to be together anymore. I kind of miss the old Maryland, I guess, was in the ACC. So anyway, the point stands. They all wanted to leave each other. Confirmation on Grambling Tigers. What else? Oh, Boise State versus Colorado. Battle of the West. Latrell, thank y'all. Thank you for supporting E2C. Better odds of Yellowstone erupting right now than getting a perfect bracket. Wow, that's That really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? BC and Pitt. That's right. Pitt was in the Big East. I miss the Big East, man. All right, overtime, 1 minute and 43 seconds. I got to get over there and watch it. Folks, thank y'all for tuning in, hanging out with us tonight when you've got a lot of other things going on. Smash the like button on the way out. If you want to consider supporting what we do here, join on YouTube by hitting that join button to join the Conquer Club. You can do so on Facebook as well, a similar way by being a subscriber there. Or if you want to get the full effect of it all, patreon.com/E2C Network. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. And I mean that. Thank you for hanging out with me. Enjoy March Madness tomorrow, baby. I know I will. Till I talk to you again. War Eagle.